Welcome back to our daily show. Here's CJ.
Reason why I should never make a change. Baby, if you owe me, then all of this will go away. My many artifacts, the list goes on. If you just say
10. I'm actually on time for once, Jake. How about that? Starting the year off right. I've had 2 interviews start at the exact time I said they were going
Beautiful.
to. Never happens.
Yeah.
Well, Jake, we were talking. I bought a house in the summer and never really even thought of radon before. I always laughed because I thought the silent killer was just a joke and didn't realize the severity of radon.
Yeah, for sure.
And when we were going through this and they were just having the testing kit out, I thought, man, this could be a real problem if somebody has an issue and doesn't know who to call. And then voila, on the second day of January, AirSense Environmental. This is cool. So you guys are an in-house tester and you also do mitigation.
Yeah, we do both. Yeah, so we'll be probably, I think, the only company in this local market that does both. So you can't keep the same license on the same person, right? So I can't come out and test for you as Jake Lusby as on my license and then turn around and mitigate, right? Naturally, there's a conflict of interest there. I could tell you, oh yeah, it's so high.
Right.
Now the beauty is, right? So we have very, very high tech testers. They cost around $800 a piece. They run. The sample size for a qualifying radon measurement is 48 hours, right? And so they take a 1 hour point by point. They tell you the barometric pressure, the temperature in the room, the radon levels, and then you can watch it. I can print it out. I can show you and say, look here, hour by hour. And typically what you see is at night in the wintertime, you create what they call stack effect, right? So you have cold air outside, you're pumping hot air in, that hot air rises, and it creates a suction inside the home, and that's what pulls, a lot of times, will pull radon up through the cracks in your foundation, uncovered sumps, things like that. All that will come up through the foundation and things in the house, and that's where you concentrate radon.
Really? Yeah. So is there ever a time where, and I'm sure I don't, not to put you on the spot, but you have someone calling you going, in the summertime, we've had this house for 5 years and we never had a problem, but now, we ran this test and all of a sudden it comes up. Is that kind of a common trend?
Yeah, I mean, so you're going to see more than likely, I don't want to say, definitively,
right.
You're going to see elevated levels in the wintertime than you might in the summertime. Actually, what's interesting is some houses that have more porous foundations, they'll see an increase in radon with rain. And so as rain pushes down through the ground, that air has nowhere to go. It's kind of like squeezing the air out of a bag. It pushes it against your house, and then it finds those radon decay particles find a way up through all the cracks and sump lids and stuff like that. So, yeah, interestingly enough, rain can increase radon levels in your home.
So, and this is what I think so cool about this is that you guys have it all in one because you don't have to go, damn, I got elevated levels. Now I got to call 45 people to see this.
Yeah.
What's your background like, and how did you find yourself over in this sector of the journey?
So I come from the construction background. I do a lot of renovation, especially for like investors that are wanting to buy and flip homes. So I'm kind of one-stop shop. We do the plumbing, electrical. I've got a great team of licensed tradesmen and all that. And then our other business partner came from the real estate background. And so those two things, that's kind of, you always find yourself in homes and real estate transactions. Unfortunately, radon is almost right now exclusively thought of during a real estate transaction.
It's true.
So that's one of the things that we're pushing for is try to increase public awareness of radon and things. Actually, believe it or not, is National Radon Awareness Month. So that has been nationally declared. And so, Madison County and the surrounding counties, they feel so strongly about radon. They actually have $10 sample kits right now. You can go down to, I think it's the Madison County Department of Public Health and get a test kit. They're not as high tech. I haven't seen one, so I can't speak fully, but I would assume that they are a charcoal test that you would set out in your house somewhere. You probably bag it up and send it off. And so, it's a real thing. And so we took it's a 16 credit hour course to get you ready. And then there's an exam prep, and then there's a 150 question test that's proctored. And if you've never taken an online proctored exam, it's an incredibly strange process. You're staring at a person through a Zoom call, and then you have to show your room, show your desk, show your sleeves, your ears, all that. So
Did he buy you a meal afterward?
Yeah, no, it's brutal, man. So so it's, if you've never taken an online proctored exam, it's quite the process. But and so through that, you learn all the ins and outs and the scientific, radon occurs from the decay of uranium in pockets under your home. And then that decay chain leads to polonium, and other products. And those are what they call the RDPs. That's actually what comes up and you breathe in.
Okay.
And then those RDPs, those elements, when they break down, they attach to your lung tissue. And so that's what causes the sickness. The EPA right now estimates that 21,000 people a year die from radon exposure.
Really?
Yeah, it's the second leading cause of lung cancer in smokers. It's the number one leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. Mm-hmm. Another interesting fact is that if you are a smoker or have smoked, you're 62 times more likely to be affected by radon exposure.
See, no, that's what I always found fascinating because I don't know anything about this. I'm always honest about things I don't know. But to me, it's one of those where a lot of times do they feel that they're getting sick or anything? How does that?
No, it's kind of a slow burn. You know what I mean? So so radon is an odorless, tasteless, invisible gas, right?
Okay,
so that's what makes it so dangerous. You have no idea unless you're doing testing. You really have no idea, and so you're never gonna go, oh my gosh, I think there's so much radon in here, I'm getting sick, right? Like that's never gonna happen.
You can't stick your
exactly, and that's what makes it dangerous, and that's what again, unfortunately, you almost never until you do a real estate transaction.
Now, I got to ask you, because as someone that comes from the construction, worked in real estate and with the flipping of the houses, you knew that there was an issue with this, I'm sure, going, man, there's not a lot of mitigation work going around, or available. Yeah. What was the final push to really kind of, for you, on your end of things, go, you know what, I'm jumping in and let's be a part of this? Yeah,
so our other business partner, again, he operates in the real estate world, and so he kept saying, like, anybody got a mitigator? Anybody? And then all the responses were always, good luck, 6 to 8 weeks, best of luck finding somebody, here's who I use, but, so on and so forth. So we recognized that market gap and then kind of made the decision. We sat down and Jason and I actually, I did some work for Jason, and then Jason and I sit on the board of Migratory Waterfowl, which is a non-for-profit here in the Alton area. Yeah. And so Jason and I sat down and Jason said, hey, I think I'm going to get my measurement license to test. If you're interested in getting your mitigation, I can kind of sub this to you. And then the more we thought about it, it made a lot more sense to kind of create one centralized location. There's a third partner as well. And he's going to kind of head up the measurement. I'll head up the mitigation, and then Jason's kind of the back and forth to kind of fill the gaps, handle the business side and stuff like that.
Well, it seems like you guys have a pretty good team that's already developed.
Yeah, it's going well. Yeah, it's going well. Yeah, so we've been licensed for mitigation for about 3 or 4 weeks, and I think we've done 5 or 6 jobs already. So that's a pretty good indicator that there's a market gap, and so we're excited to step in and fill that.
And now, why don't we do this? Because I want to talk to you about mitigation, because I find this really fascinating. Yeah. I got to pay a bill. It's 10/17. We'll come back with our conversation with Jake and AirSense Environmental to learn more about radon mitigation and ways that we can call Jake and get him over there to get some tests going, because I think a lot of us probably need that test done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take a quick break. Daily Show on a Tuesday. Hit you right after this.
Since 1993, Sparks Junk Removal is always adapting to the needs of our clients. That is why we now offer weekly trash pickup for selected areas. Plus, we offer driveway-safe rubber-tired dumpster rental. Give us a call today at 618-781-1407 or visit us at sparksjunkremoval.net.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible, covering auto, home, business, and life insurance. Our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
Not sure if you've noticed, but those advertised prices from the other dealers are just a bunch of blah, blah, blah. At Roberts Motors, the advertised price is the price you pay. And that, my friend, is great news for you. Don't fall for their so-called incentives that will leave you banging your head against the wall. Go with Roberts Motors. Prices you can trust and people you will like. That's the Roberts Motors way. And trust me, it's the way to go.
Has free checking become a thing of the past? Not if Liberty has anything to say about it. With 3 free personal checking options and even a free business checking account, Free is alive and well at Liberty Bank, the local bank that gives you free checking choices and more cashing in your pocket. Bank locally, bank Liberty. For more information, visit www.bankliberty.com.
Riverbender Radio has built 3 great new stations just for you in the Riverbend. The Eagle, the Riverbend's classic rock station. The Bridge, hit music for the Riverbend. And The River, today's country, and all your favorites. Check them out today at RiverBender.com.
Welcome back to our daily show. Here's CJ.
Song is about you. You're so vain. I bet you think this song is about you, don't you?
Oh, don't you want to learn about radon mitigation? Mitigation? Did I say that right?
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
Man, normally I botch. Normally at this point in the show, I've already embarrassed myself in front of the entire public, Jake. So I just got to keep going.
There you go.
I'm hanging in there. So let's talk about mitigation because I never got to see that step of it. I just saw the machine they brought in and we got the score. But for somebody that has those elevated levels, what level do they need to be at to be in those guidelines?
Yeah, so the first thing to note is that the EPA says there is no safe level of radon. So anything above a 4.0, it's measured in picocuries per liter, if you're interested. Anything above a 4.0, that's where the EPA considers that the action level, and they say, hey, you need to take steps to mitigate the home. Nothing's ever required. There's nothing that says if your home comes back a 4 by law, you have to mitigate, right? You're doing it for your own safety and well-being. But yeah, anything above a 4.0, the EPA says is their action level. Anything between a 2 and a 4 is a recommended. You want to do what you can to try to get below that. Anything below that, the EPA says totally up to you, right? Like we don't really have a stance one way or another on that, other than there is no safe level of radon inside of a home.
So now, is there ever a time where have you met somebody? Do we all have radon levels in our homes?
I would say it would be tough to say that.
Okay.
The very, very interesting thing about radon is that you could have an elevated level and your neighbor could not. And it's just strictly based off of those pockets of uranium that exist naturally throughout the entire earth, obviously. But in our area, Iowa, they consider to be the capital of radon. The more uranium in Iowa than anywhere, apparently. But yeah, it just is it's totally dependent on where those pockets of uranium exist.
Could you imagine that billboard? Home of radon.
Yeah.
I'll pass. Well, see, now when we go through mitigation, what does some of those jobs look like? Do they entail, because I've seen something like vapor sheets or those mats getting put out. What goes into that type of mitigation?
So there's a couple different ways. The main one that we use most of the time is called a sub-slab depressurization system. And basically, you've got the slab that exists across your basement that everybody sees, unless you're on a crawl space. And we're going to core down through that to get to the substrate under the home. We then excavate a suction pit, they call it, and we want to try to get as wide as we can to encourage basically a pocket for that air to accumulate and then be sucked out. And then we use booster fans, essentially, that take all the air out from under your basement, effectively depressurizing it, creating a negative vacuum under your slab, and then they evacuate that up above the roof line. Now, the other piece that you were talking about, you've seen the vapor barriers.
Yeah.
So when you have a crawl spaces are major places where radon gets into the home because there's nothing to stop it. It's just dirt or maybe gravel, so it comes up through the gravel. When you have a crawl space, we do what we call encapsulating, and so we'll put that vapor barrier across the entire bottom. It comes up roughly about a foot, 2 feet up the wall. We seal that with a sealant or a furring strip or a combination of both. And then you'll have a deck, they call it, and then from that deck you'll have 2 pieces of perforated pipe coming off either way, and then that vapor barrier goes over the top, suction point down through the deck, sealed off, and then that, again, it just depressurizes all that area. It takes, before the uranium can kind of come up through any of those areas, it's already sucking it out and evacuating it up and outside your home.
Wow. Well, and see, this is what I think is really cool. For somebody that has a background in construction, you've done it all in terms of plumbing and all, we talked about that. But to be able just to switch it up, I mean, you know quite a damn bit about radon at this point.
16-hour coursework, so when we got started, we wanted to make sure that we did it right, and so we actually hired a consulting firm to kind of help guide us through.
Wow.
We have a quality assurance program that goes along with our mitigation that's, this thick, it goes in a folder and all that, and so there's a lot of requirements, there's a lot of laws to follow to make sure you're doing radon mitigation effectively and safely.
Whenever you were learning about this process and just kind of going going through that course. Did you realize beforehand how deadly radon was?
Not at all.
Really?
Not at all. Yeah. So again, one of the things that we're trying to do is create public awareness about radon.
Yeah.
And if you talk to a lot of people, you'll be like, it's a scam. It's a money grab. It's all those the silent killer my ass. Right. So because you can't see it, right? Like if somebody's smoking in a restaurant next to you, right, you automatically go, oh my God, I'm gonna get secondhand lung cancer. But radon, you can't see it. And so before coming into this, I probably lean more on I'm a skeptic by nature, right? And so I'm like, okay, I can't see it. I can't, okay, as we kind of move to fill that market gap and you learn about radon and the decay and all those things, it makes you realize it's a very real thing. It's not CO2. You're not going to walk in, breathe it, and fall over dead. But it has been proven through a number of studies that continued exposure to radon can and will cause lung cancer.
Wow. Well, and what I think is so fascinating about this is what you just said is people only do this when they're buying a house.
Yeah.
That's the only time you think about it. So for folks that maybe are really interested in this, what do you advise them? Maybe they haven't done it yet, so the first step's to give you a call and let's get some testing done.
Yeah, start a test. You know what I mean? They're very affordable. They're very accurate. Like I said, those systems cost us about $800 a piece. They're very, very, very accurate. They're going to show you a data point by data point hourly readout, and then you can make an informed decision from there. But step one, get a test. I mean, it just, it takes 48 hours. You'll have it in writing. Then you'll know. I mean, it's a very, very simple way to know.
And then after that, too, how often should we retest?
Every 2 years, yeah. So the EPA says every 2 years you should retest a home. Things change, things settle, new cracks form, things like that. And so maybe a system that was effective even 2 years ago, maybe something has happened, things have settled. Say something were to shift under the foundation and something settled where you're no longer evacuating that air from one half of the basement, a test is going to tell you, and the test may come back and go, nope, you're still great. Or a test may come back and go, hey, since we tested 2 years ago, you're now at an average of 5.5, and we need to look at maybe adjusting the system or adding more suction points, things like that. So
really cool. And now as we're talking about mitigation too, what's your timeline on a project like that? I'm sure it depends on square footage of the basement and all that fun stuff, materials that you're going to need. But whenever you got to go in and you got to put down that pump and you got to really dig out that hole to have that air escape, what does that look like?
So typically on a standard installation, we can be in and out in 4 or 5 hours.
No way.
Yeah. So we've got it. We've really been focusing on. So when we started, we always try to take away like, okay, what do we do wrong? What do we do right? So we're really streamlining the system. And so typically one guy's working on the exhaust side, one guy's digging, and we kind of meet in the middle. And so typically on a standard installation, we can be in and out of your home in 4 or 5 hours.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to tell me a couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Now crawl spaces take longer, right? Crawl spaces, large crawl spaces can end up being an all-day job, but still typically one day we can be in and out of your home.
What's the difference between a crawl space job and just a regular job that you run into?
A lesson that we learned the really, really hard way. So with a crawl space, most crawl spaces are never the same, and they're never, right, if you've looked at a number of crawl spaces, you look under there and it usually looks like something out of a haunted van.
It does.
Like, it's just terrible. Now, there are some newer homes that were constructed on crawl spaces. They're beautiful. They're 3 foot tall. They've got gravel. Everything is straight. Those are not bad. But when you get in and then you've usually got a series of support pillars. You've got to encapsulate around those. And so now the mistake we made was we took all the material down in the crawl space, 3 guys, and we started pulling and trying to figure it out. And we got to the end of that thing and we were like, oh, like this is not the right way. And so fortunately for us, we have both the consultant and then the gentleman that we buy all of our material from, David Smith. He is the oldest holding license in the state of Illinois. His license number was 2. And so,
there you go.
So we have this, because we've committed to ordering all our materials from Dave. Dave always makes himself available to us. And we can call him and go, hey, okay, here's what we did. What did we do wrong? Right. And Dave's like, well, yeah, where do you want to start? What I mean? So like anything, when you start out on a new adventure, right, you take some lumps along the way, and we've definitely done that. But we're always continuing, striving to be better and better on every install. So
well, what I think's great is you guys started this a couple of weeks ago, and you're already having enough jobs to have experience. You're already learning.
Yeah. So 3 or 4 weeks ago, Jason got his mitigation license back, and it just took right off. And so we had a couple of real nice, easy installs to get us going, thank God. And then after that, we've had some some head scratchers along the way, but yeah, I mean, we've got a great
Some
support
doozies.
team and stuff like that. So
Absolute doozies out there. So what can folks do? That's kind of my thought, because it's not like you can prevent radon from happening.
Yeah.
But is there something that maybe we can do if we know, because I have a crawl space in my basement, even though it's on a slab, it's built up a little bit. What can we do to make it a little bit easier for you if we know that you guys have to go in and do some mitigation work? Is there something that maybe the client can do that's not really, putting all the work into it, but just saying, hey, we're wanting you to come and thanks for being here?
yeah, clean out the crawl space.
No way. They don't clean it?
I mean, you unfortunately, crawl spaces, if you have, neck level access, they become a place where you just throw everything, So obviously we're going to ask a client to clean it out. But no, I mean, the best thing you can do, again, is schedule a test. And, as we were kind of building this thing, our measurement professional, he came along for all the installs. And so he's learning kind of what to look for and things like that. And so a lot of times as they're out there doing a test, they can call us and go, hey, this is what you're getting into, so we kind of know ahead of time.
Man, this is really cool. Yeah. I didn't realize. I just think it's awesome because I didn't realize, number one, it was Radon Awareness Month, because that's always something to talk about, because it is something that can be deadly and can really harm you and your family. But to now know whether or not you are buying a house or you're a real estate agent, there's a company that does it. But for all of us that just want it done and maybe need to get some mitigation work done because we didn't pass the test, we now have a company here in the 618 and the 314 region that is going to be able to do it. Now, are you just Illinois right now?
Right now, yeah. So Illinois has its own separate licensure through IEMA, which is they handle all of that. Now, Missouri, you can operate on the Missouri side with NRPP, National Radon Proficiency Program. Proctor's the national licensure, and so with that, you can operate in Missouri as well. So I've been looking into getting licensed through NRPP so that we can operate on the immediate other side of the river as well.
Absolutely. So when we call you, just to give everyone kind of that one last, overview, when we call you and we want to set up a test, how does, what's the turnaround like? What's that process look like too?
So right now we're looking to schedule tests for the end of the month.
Okay.
The best way to get a hold of us is just go take a look at the website, airsenseenvironmental.com, just like our name. Not only that, you're going to find we have a ton of great information out there, additional information about radon, what it is, how it occurs, how we test, all those things. And then we have a contact form to fill out. So you can fill out your name, your address, if you want to tell us something about the house. And then we'll, very quickly, we'll get back a hold of you to schedule a time for a test and learn more about your house.
And on top of that, too, there's also some really cool radon information just on your resources page on top of that. You go over to resources and click on that PDF and get some really good information, because it's always great to know that before you kind of need to know that stuff, too.
For sure, yeah.
Jake, I wish you nothing but the best on this, man. It was cool for you to stop by, and man, this is awesome. I'm glad we have a one-stop shop for radon right here in the 618.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're really looking forward to filling the market gap and helping people and the public too. Like, we love all of our real estate customers, but we really want to push the information out there to the public to make them aware of what radon is and how easy it is to find out whether you have it in your home or not. So thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Anytime you want to come back on, fill us in. If you have any more stuff that you add to the inventory, if you just want to fill us in on more awareness, you can go to AirSense Environmental, just how it sounds right there or spells out on your screen.com today to sign up for that test. You put your name in that contact form and Jake will take care of you.
Absolutely.
10:33, Jake, thank you so much for your time. And we'll come back with Mary Cordes, and we're going beyond the shelves right after this.